What up, what up, what up? You are now locked into the Alumni Podcast. If you're joining us on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button and also tap that bell so you can be notified when we drop new content. I'm your host, Ken KB Supreme, and joining me as always, my lovely bride, Queen V. What up, Queen?
Hey, honey. Hey, family.
So, Queen, how was your day?
My day was hectic, but it kept me busy, so I think that's pretty good. I had a lot of work to get done, and I was able to get a lot done. How was your day?
Okay, my day was good. Got to help out some clients, and I think I put in a good 4 day. Worked a little bit of overtime today. Had some good conversation at work.
Okay.
Me and my coworkers, we always talking about a lot of things to pass the time, and we had a pretty good conversation today.
Okay, well, that's good.
Okay, so do you want me to share what we talked about today?
I would love for you to share with me.
Okay, great. So one of the things we talked about, you know how the Bible's, well, in so many words, in our faith, they say that the marriage bed is undefiled, right?
Correct.
Okay. So I wanted to ask, does that only go for the marriage bed? Meaning that could things happen in other places and that can be okay?
I think so. I think as long as you and your spouse are in agreement, as long as it's discreet and that you're not in danger of getting caught and going to jail, or somebody catching you filming you, I think it would be okay.
You think it would be okay? Okay. So I know people, and I won't identify where I know them from because I don't want to put anybody out there like that, right? But I know people that did some fun marital things in a Ferris wheel cart.
What?
Yeah, a Ferris wheel cart. Is that a go or no?
Okay. First of all, I would say it's a no-go because at some point you got to come all the way around and come down and people will be watching.
So did I tell you that they end up coming down and got in a lot of trouble from the guy who operates the... Yeah, so I guess that's a no, right?
That would be a no.
Okay. What about the car? Now we're talking about married folks here, right?
Okay.
Okay, so we know that the bed is undefiled, right? Is the car undefiled?
If you and your spouse agree and you got tinted windows, and probably if you park somewhere where you're not going to get caught, I would say it's a go.
It's a go.
What do you think?
Well, I'm obviously going to think it's a go. But again, like you said, the wife or the husband have to be comfortable with it.
Right.
And then also you have to make sure you're not somewhere where you're going to get caught and get in trouble. Now, is that against the law as far as the car?
You know what? I'm not sure. I think you'd probably have to look at the state laws or the city laws. I'm not sure. I think it might be. They could get you for public indecency.
Yeah, so that might be bad. The car might not be a go. Okay, so what about if you're a guest in somebody else's house? Like you're staying over on vacation or a weekend and you're staying in the guest room. Is that a yay or a nay?
You know what? That's kind of hard. I would be like, no, but then you with your spouse, you in the room. As long as you clean up after yourself and strip the bed and wash the sheets, I think it might be all right.
That'll be all right. Okay, so somebody else's house.
I don't know.
Okay.
Hey, that don't mean if y'all come to my house, y'all be in my guest room doing it. I'm just saying.
It can't be two ways. It can't be two ways, Queen V.
I don't know. I have to think about that.
Look. If somebody's staying in our guest room, now they gotta wash their own stuff.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
They have to wash their own stuff, but if they're willing to wash their own stuff before they leave, then by all means.
See, now you giving out open invitations.
But
okay, Kenny.
so if somebody comes and stays with you, a married couple comes and stays with you for like 2 weeks, would you expect them to be abstinent?
No, no, I don't. Just wash your sheets, please.
Okay. All right. So you had some questions that you wanted to ask me, right?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
I did. So I was reading and ran across this quote on Instagram. It's really from the Shade Room. And it says, a rich man can meet a broke woman and change her life, but a rich woman won't even look a broke man's way. So do you think that quote is true?
Yeah, I think it is. I think historically, men have always been the provider.
Right.
And I mean, I know that now we're living in a time where things are pushing to be equal. But I think historically, men have always been kind of seen as you're supposed to take care of the house, provide the quote unquote bacon. And I think that is something that's been happening for hundreds of years.
Right.
And so it's hard to change that within the last 10 years to see the outlook different when it's been kind of traditional for hundreds and hundreds, probably thousands of years, where the man has been expected to bring home the bacon and to provide. And so to now think that a woman would want to provide for a man, again, I don't want to speak for women,
Right.
but it'll be against what traditionally happens. And I think deep down inside, tradition is just not erased within like one decade. I mean, you got hundreds of maybe even thousands of years of this is the way it's always been. So I think that now society is starting to get equal, or we're really pushing for equality as far as, but I still think that, a woman that's earned her own is not going to look at a man and say, I'll take care of you. And then for a man, men who are striving to be the alpha male, in historically, because we're mammals, right? The female is always look for the alpha male.
Right.
And so, guys are always competing to be the alpha male, whether it be talent, money, strength, whatever. They want to be the best because they want to attract the best females. And so, I think that's pretty much what it is.
I agree. And even though we are striving toward equality as far as equal pay, equal roles in jobs and leadership position, I do think that this quote is true. And that's not to say that a woman can't take care of her man or spouse if times get hard. I think if you're in a relationship, you take care of each other. But I think this was more saying, like, if a woman is established, does have her own, that she is less likely to pick a partner or spouse who is broke. And essentially, I think a rich man will pick a woman that is broke or that doesn't have as much as he does, because, as you said, historically, men are providers and will take care of women.
Right.
But
right.
I think that is pretty much true. And I think as women, or I don't want to speak for all women, I know for me and what I was taught is a man should have something equal to bring to the table, and not you taking care of him or having to provide for him or be the head provider, because the man is supposed to be the head of the household, the covering. Right. So I just looked at it and I was like, it might seem shallow, but to me, I think it is true, and it's still prevalent today.
Okay, great. Awesome. Okay, so Queen V, I do have a question for you.
Okay.
So my question is, could you be friends with somebody I've dated in my past?
Friends as far like knowing them and saying hello, or friends as saying like we're hanging out?
Just friends. You can be hanging out. You can be, you can talk to each other. Anything like that.
No, I don't think I could.
Why not?
Because I would always think that they would have an ulterior motive, or try to bring up y'all situation, how y'all dated, So to me, I mean, I wouldn't be mean to that person if you were to introduce me. If we ran into, that person somewhere, I would speak. But as far as us talking on the phone, texting, hanging out, nah.
What
I
what about if that person was married? So they had remarried and started seeing somebody else, and it's been years, and you and I've married. We've had several years under our belts. It still would be an awkward thing.
To me, it would be awkward,
Mm-hmm.
and I wouldn't want us to be in a conversation or speaking, and a situation about you would come up, and that person would offer advice or talk about how your relationship was in the past. I just don't think that I would be comfortable with doing that. And I would always think in the back of my mind whether that person was married or not. Are they telling me this to fill me out? Are they telling me this to try to get my husband back?
Mm.
So with me, no, I don't think I could do that.
Okay.
What about you?
I think I can be okay with it. I think when I was younger, it would probably be a no go.
Okay.
Yeah, because my mind would just be racing all over the place. I think now that we're older,
Right.
and we do have some years under our belt, I think I wouldn't have a problem with it. Obviously, it would be somewhat weird. I'm pretty sure that any normal person would have thoughts in the back of their mind of what potentially happened or what could happen or anything
Right.
like that. But no, obviously I wouldn't talk on any level as far as disclose. I don't think we could be best friends.
Right.
Because if you and I ever had any issues to where I needed like male camaraderie or expertise from, I wouldn't share, things that you and I, that we might have gone through in the past to get advice.
Right.
Because again, there's history there.
Right.
And so, yeah, I don't know about best friends, but I think that, as far as being a friend or cordial or somebody to hang out with here and then, of course.
Okay. That's interesting. You are on a whole nother level than I am. I don't think like meeting them, yes, saying hi, maybe small chit chat, we're in passing, but as far as, hanging out every now and then, nah, I couldn't say I could do that.
Okay, I understand. So, Queen.
Yes, honey.
You ever watch Martin when you were, like when Martin was on?
Of course, all the time.
Right. And so, and I love Martin. Martin is one of my favorite sitcoms ever, and I still watch the reruns every time I can catch one. But I was fascinated by the relationship that Pam and Martin had.
Okay.
Was there love there? Yes.
Right.
But they appeared to always battle with each other, call each other names and fuss and argue all the time, right?
Right.
Could you be best friends with somebody that I didn't get along with? And again, this is not somebody you met, off. This is a childhood I grew up with. I've had before I met you, best friend that just didn't like me and I didn't like them. Could you be best friends with them?
Ooh, that's a real hard question. It probably would be hard for me to watch you both either argue or bicker back and forth or not get along. I think it would be hard for me to throw away that friendship, but I would probably have to set boundaries. And that would be hard for me because I have my best friend that I've known all my life growing up, but then I have my husband, my spouse, my best friend.
Right.
That, we live together. We are essentially are one in a committed relationship. I could not probably tolerate being in the room with y'all if y'all were arguing, or I couldn't tolerate either one of you talking bad about the other one.
Right.
So we would have to agree to disagree that both of y'all were off limits about talking to each other about me. But I don't even know how that would be weird. It would be strange because if I wanted to hang out with my best friend and you didn't like them, then I'd probably receive some static from you, and vice versa. If I couldn't hang out with my best friend, I'd receive static from her. That would be kind of weird.
Did Martin and Pam not like each other, or was it just bickering? Was it competitiveness for the affection of Gina or the attention of Gina? Like, what was it?
I think it was competitiveness for Gina's attention because Pam and Gina were cool.
Right.
They were girls, they hung out, they did everything together. Then Martin was her boyfriend. Eventually, they got married. But then, if I can remember, her and Pam were friends when her and Martin, had started dating and were just getting to that committed relationship.
Right.
And I think that their arguing or bickering probably was to get Gina's attention or compete for her attention. But in a couple of episodes, when it came down to the wire, they were there for each other,
Right.
if they needed to be. So I don't think that was a true hatred or dislike for each other. I think, like you said, it was just probably trying to compete for their attention. But that would be hard if my best friend truly didn't like you and you didn't like my best friend. That would put me in an awkward position.
I think it would. I think it would. And if, obviously, if I had, I think now that we're married, my friends do, the friends I select do
Right.
come and play now that I'm married.
Right.
It's important that you're okay or cool with the friends that I have.
Right.
If I did have a friend that you particularly didn't get along with, yeah, I probably wouldn't have that friend as close as Pam. I mean, or at least when it came to having that friend around you, I would try to keep distance. But if it was just like and then again, it's I think it's also different with men. Like, if I'm the guy and one of my partners were disrespecting you,
Right.
in like the constant name calling and bickering and stuff like that, that would be, that friendship would be pretty much null and void. But I think on the other spectrum, it almost feel like Pam and Martin had a playful, fun, bickering,
Right.
competitive thing.
Right.
But ultimately, I think they were also friends because, like you said, when it comes down to it, they always have each other's back.
Right. And I agree. And I think that's truly what their relationship was. And if I did have a friend that didn't like you and, was saying things negative about you, then I would have to talk to them and have to sever that because I won't tolerate any disrespect to my husband.
Well, you have a lot of friends, so I wouldn't be surprised if you have one out there that didn't like me, and I would be okay with that.
Well, I'm not okay with that. I think the friends that I have that I consider true friends, they do have a respect for you and they do like you. Okay. Now, if they don't like you, they've never mentioned it to me. And I don't think that they would because they know how I feel about you. You're my husband. You're my best friend, essentially my partner. So I think if they did have an issue, they wouldn't tell me, or at least they haven't told me if they have.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, well, that's good to hear. That's
Right.
good to hear. Again, I'm glad that the people that I select in my life are like, they adore you. Like they have a great amount of love for you.
Well, that's good to hear.
And those are the
too.
people that are closest to me.
Right.
That aren't, family.
Right.
As far as, the people that I kick it with. But I couldn't allow anybody to get that close to me as far as best friend, like Pam and Gina, or for particular, if I'm Martin, Cole, and Tommy, they would have to be cool with Gina.
Right.
You know what I mean? They would have to have that type of love for Gina. If they didn't, then we couldn't be cool like that.
Right. I agree.
So yeah, that's pretty much our questions part of the podcast.
Okay.
So let's get into what our beefs are.
Yeah. What's your beef?
What's my beef? So again, I want to give you the option to either go first or to defer.
I'll go first since I think I deferred to you last time. Is that correct?
So, Queen V, what is your beef?
My beef is and this really pertains to women. Essentially, it could be men or women, but on behalf of women, my beef is when you have a friend or an acquaintance, and if you have an issue with them, instead of addressing it with them, you kind of wait till you get around an audience or a group of people and throw indirect or subliminal shots at them. That is my beef. Like, you should never demean or demoralize or put down anyone, especially woman to woman, to make yourself look better or to make yourself shine or to put yourself on a pedestal. To me, that it makes you look really bad. It does not promote unity or togetherness. Women have enough things in this world bringing them down and dragging them down without other women doing that to them, especially when you get a group or an audience. And to me, that's just wrong. And that's happened to me more times than I would like to say that it hasn't. And it really upsets me. And I address it, or I just distance myself from those people or people that do that, because I know how I will react. And I always want to make sure that I don't turn around in anger and say something to them. Right. And I just, try to walk away or try to educate them on why they shouldn't say that, or educate them to just be a better person. And I try to be a good person to people. And even when they do me wrong, I want to say things, or I want to get mad or blow up. And sometimes I say 85% of the time I catch myself and try to walk away.
Right.
But to me, it just makes you look bad. So women, we have to stop doing that, tearing each other down to make yourself look good, especially when you have an audience, because it doesn't make you look good regardless of what you think.
Right.
And that's my beef.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Well, honey, what's your beef?
What's my beef? All right. So I want to preference this before I get started. Right?
Okay.
My people, I love my friends, and I have the utmost respect for all the people that I'm friends with, that I'm acquaintances with, or people that just know me in general. Okay?
Right.
I may not have spoken to me for a long time. Okay. But this has to do with this thing we call Facebook.
Okay.
Okay. Folks, please do not tag me into anything unless you ask me first if I want to be a part of it.
Okay.
Like, don't put my name in no group, text, message, Facebook Messenger, anything unless you ask me, because I'm getting these alerts on my phone all day because I'm put in like 40 groups that I didn't ask to be in. I know that we all have visions and plans and groups and spiritual groups and all these things that we want to create, and we want everybody to know what we're doing and what's going on. Like for us, we created this podcast, but I don't tag everybody. I give you the option whether you want to listen or you don't.
Correct. So
I get a little frustrated when people tag me in photos, tag me in things that I didn't ask to be tagged in.
Right.
And especially stuff that doesn't have anything to do with me specifically.
Right.
So that's my beef. Like, folks, we got to stop tagging everybody into our stuff, because it just, these alerts all day, it gets irritating to me. And so I'm saying that out of respect. Please do not tag me in anything unless you ask me first if I want to be a part of it.
Right.
And you may be surprised, because I may actually want to be a part of it.
Correct.
But if you tag me in something that you didn't give me the courtesy to ask me if I want to be a part of, I'll politely just remove myself from the group. So I just want you to know, don't take it personal. It doesn't mean that I'm not for what you're doing, or I'm not your friend or anything like that. It just means that you didn't give me the courtesy to ask me if I wanted to be a part of this. And so I remove myself until you ask me. And then sometimes I may say no because look, that's not my lane right now. That's not what I'm doing or into.
Right.
But sometimes I'm like, yeah, of course I want to be a part of it. But at least give me the courtesy to ask me. And I think that goes for anybody. And so I think a lot of people feel the same way, maybe. And I'm just going to be open and honest with
Right.
it. Please call me first, because people will tag you in the stuff that they haven't even spoken to you in years and months and decades.
Right.
But they'll tag you into stuff and you're like, why are you doing this? Like, I haven't even talked to you in years.
Right.
Or it's for something that you don't have any connection or interest in.
Right.
So I think that it's and people have great ideas. Don't get me wrong, people have great ideas, but Facebook is being used as a tool to promote so much to people who aren't really interested in so much.
Right.
So I do get irritated about that. So that's my beef. It's just people tagging me into things without asking me first. Right. That doesn't have anything to do with me in specific. I understand if you're sending me a message or you're posting a photo with me in it, or you're saying something that's directed to me, or you're making a statement, but just some type of random group that I don't know anything about, or I haven't been asked, do I want to be a part of it, or do I want the information, just to
Right.
automatically put me in there just because you know me, is not something that I'm into.
Right. And that's a valid beef to have.
How do you feel about that?
I agree. My thing is the tagging of the chain letters.
Right.
Or the chain emails, like, or if you don't send this to 10 people, you're going to have bad luck.
Right.
Yeah, or essentially, like you're saying, tagging me maybe in a photo and I'm not in that photo. I'm
Right.
like, what was the point? So I mean, I can see what you're saying. And like you said, the alerts they do, it's a lot.
It gets out of hand.
Yeah, sometimes it does get out of hand. I think sometimes maybe or people are just so excited about what they're doing, or maybe even what they're posting, they just want to tag their friends or people that they like, or to me, a couple of things I've been tagged in, it seems like they tagged everybody on their friend list. So yeah, it can become too much at times.
Yeah, it gets too much. So
I apologize if I've ever tagged anybody and you didn't want to be tagged. I usually ask, like if it's a photo or if I think it's something that we've talked about and pertains to you, I will. But it's usually people I'm kind of close with,
right.
or I've at least spoken to them or asked them first about it. I try to be cognizant of that because I don't like it done to me all the time.
Yeah, please do. So your beef was interesting though, and just to kind of tap into a little bit of it.
Mm-hmm.
So why is it that people do that? Like I don't ever, like, I don't know people that particularly would wait until they get around a crowd to take like subliminal shots at me. You have people, or you know people that that's done that to you?
Yes.
And just is it because they want to establish themselves amongst the group? Is it that they see your position and want to bring you down a little bit so they can bring themselves up? Why is it that somebody would do that?
I really don't know what it is, and I kind of ignored it when it first happened, but then it kept happening, and it was never when it was just me and that person.
Right.
And I just kind of, essentially fight back, but with words, and then, or just ignore, or just remove myself. But I'm not sure why people do that. I don't know. It's just to get attention or to make themselves seem like they're better or more prestigious, and it really doesn't. I've seen the looks that the other people have given these people when they do that. And they're like, really? Why would you even say that? But they don't get it. So to keep me from acting unprofessional or ladylike, I just remove myself from the situation.
Sounds like a pretty smart thing to do.
Yeah, it is. I mean, even though I want to react and say things
Right.
that I probably should not, I just have to remind myself I don't look good in prison orange, so I just walk away.
Yeah, I'm glad I don't have people like that in my life because
Right.
yeah, I try to remain quiet. I've always believed that a person should always be in control of their emotions.
Correct.
And I won't allow anybody. And I used to tell this to the young youth that I used to the youth that I used to mentor
Right.
when I was working at the youth detention center.
Right.
And I would always tell them, don't allow anybody to control your emotions.
Exactly.
Or be able to live in your head rent free.
Yep.
And I just think that, especially, and I'm just speaking for men because I'm a man. I think that men should be in control of their emotions.
Right.
Nobody can get me out of character. Now, there's a point that I do, like a line that I do draw, that certain disrespect won't be tolerated.
Right.
And so you would have to get me to that point of no return. Right. But as far as somebody saying something or being ignorant in one form or a fashion, I try to not let people dictate my emotions, nor do I let anybody formulate opinions or thoughts for me.
Right.
You know, you may have a stance on something, and that's your stance, and it's okay to have it. You are entitled to your stance on something.
Exactly.
But just because you're passionate about one thing and your stance is in this way doesn't mean that I have to take the same stance. It's okay for you to have your stance, but I think for myself.
Right.
And I don't let anybody formulate my thoughts. I don't let anybody formulate my opinions. I get the information and I decipher the information the way I decipher it, and then I make my own and conclusion.
Right.
So I don't know where that came from, but I just felt like I had to get that out because people have certain beliefs that they want to force upon other people, and then if you don't take upon the way they feel about something, then you're a problem, or you're an issue, or you're not woke enough, or you're something like that.
Yeah.
But I'm smart enough to know to formulate my own thoughts and opinions on things. I don't get persuaded by half information.
Right.
I think it's important to know the full story of everything. I know it's important to, when you hear something, go back and read and research and see what's really going on. I don't just take half information. See, a lot of times about Facebook, another thing about Facebook that irritates me sometimes, I mean, this may be another pet peeve, is that people take Facebook as gospel.
Yeah.
People get information from Facebook, and you may get 5 minutes or 5 seconds of information, and you take it as gospel. And for me, before I speak on something, or before I formulate an opinion on something, I'm going to go back and read everything, because I want to see everything in context. And I've learned that from my job and working in casework for so long, is that you may get something on paper that you can read, maybe a half page of information, and it may seem like the worst information in the world. But when you actually go out and you do your investigation and your research on the information, you find out that there's context in everything.
Right.
And when you look at the full picture, you can formulate an educated conclusion.
Exactly.
Most people are uneducated about a circumstance, and so they formulate an opinion off of 5 seconds of information without going to get the rest of it. And that's why I'm before I speak, or before I partake in any movement, or before you put me in any post or tags, I'm real I'm a big advocate on going and get the full information.
Right.
Even, you know, like some of it is not all facts because, you know, all information can be manipulated and changed, and somebody else's perspective can come out that's biased.
Right.
But I think that is both. It's good to hear both sides, not to just hear the things that you want to hear or the things that align with what you feel,
Right.
or that you want to hear, but to go hear something that's contrary to what you believe and what you want to hear another perspective, and then you can find, okay, I heard your perspective, I have my belief, now how do I take that information and formulate what's fact and what's fiction.
Correct.
So
I agree.
all right, do you have a positive word before we get out of here, Queen?
Positive word is remain true to yourself. And it goes along with what you're just saying. Don't let anyone else's opinion formulate what you think or believe. You know, you can agree to disagree when you're having discussions, or everybody has their opinions, their beliefs, but just stay true to yourself and remain true to who you are in all situations.
All right, love
You
you,
have
girl.
a positive word?
I typically let you get the positive word,
Okay.
because you're the queen.
Well, thanks, love.
And you're full of positivity.
Well, thank you. I try.
Full of
I
positivity.
try to be.
And so I like ending with your positive word.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, thanks, love.
Love you.
I love you too.
This has been the Alumni Podcast. If you're joining us on Facebook, please like. If you're joining us on YouTube, click that subscribe button and also tap that bell so you can be notified when we drop new content. We will drop a podcast each and every week. Sometimes, because my baby likes to travel, she's not here, so sometimes the podcasts are delayed, but we will try to get a podcast out every week. So
Yes,
we
we will.
appreciate you all supporting us, and we appreciate you listening. Peace.
Peace.